Okay, so this time we're going to discuss about the classification of research. No, it is important for us to understand different classification of research for us to know what specific classification of research what we wanted to pursue in our required chapter 1 to 4. Okay, to give us more detail about the topic, let us all welcome our presenter. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes
Hello,
po.
sir. Hello, classmates. Good afternoon. So I'll be sharing with you the different or various types of classifications of research. Learning objectives. After this report, you will be able to recognize and understand different research classifications and subtypes, assess, evaluate, and select the best research design, recognize the need to adapt and employ various types of research design. So there are three ways in categorizing or classifying our research. That is based on purpose, based on method, and based on approach. So for based on method, it has three types, which are the basic research, applied, and evaluative research. For the basic research, it is to develop new ways of thinking, theories, principles, and ideas. It is also referred to as pure or theoretical research. And then we have applied research, which is to apply basic research or past theories, knowledge, and methods for solving existing problems. And then we have our evaluation research or evaluative research, also known as program evaluation. This research refers to research purpose instead of a specific method. It is a research which is a systematic assessment of the worth or merit of time, effort, money, and resources spent in order to achieve a goal. So it is composed of two research questions, the process evaluation research and the outcome evaluation research. And then we have our research based on method, the qualitative and quantitative research. So let us differentiate between the two research. For qualitative, so this research, the aim is to complete detailed or provide detailed description. While for quantitative, the aim is to classify features, count them, construct statistical models in an attempt to explain what is observed. Another description is this researcher for qualitative may only roughly in advance what she is looking for, while for quantitative, researcher knows clearly in advance what she is looking for. And then for qualitative, we have this is recommended during earlier phases of research, while for the quantitative, it is recommended during latter phases of research. Well, for the design, for qualitative, the design emerges as the study unfolds. While for quantitative, all aspects of the study are carefully designed before data is collected. For the tools or instrument, researcher is the data gathering instrument in qualitative, while for quantitative, researcher uses tools such as questionnaires, equipment to collect numerical data. Now, research according to approach. So we have historical research and descriptive research. So for historical research, this is a research where it critically investigates events, development, and experiences of the past. For descriptive research, this provides information about conditions, situations, and events that occur in the present. So the goal of this type of research for descriptive is to describe the data and characteristics of what is being studied. And then we have experimental research. Sorry, for experimental research, the test hypothesis is designed to explain why something happened and or to show cause and effect relationship. And then the basic example of experimental research is usually conducted through laboratory experiments. And then we have two types of experimental research, the true experiment and the quasi-experimental research. For a true experiment, it leads to an ambiguous outcome regarding what caused an event because of the experimenter has a high degree of control over the arrangement of experimental conditions. So usually this type of usually In this research, the use, intervention, or treatment is implemented. While for quasi-experimental research, also defined as a semi or partial experiment, it lacks one or more of the properties of a pure full experiment. This type does not implement a control as the basis of comparison. And then we have, so basically we are now able to have an idea of what are the classifications of research. Research based on purpose, based on method, and based on approach. Now, according to Dr. Morelli, in her book Introductions to Business Research, she provided or she mentioned common research design in the business. So these are exploratory, descriptive, correlational, and experimental, which it has two types. So moving on, let's differentiate the common choosing design of the in the business industry. So we have exploratory, which is a research where it identifies or clarify a problem. So normally management may have discovered general problems, but research is needed to gain a better understanding of the dimensions of the problems. So this type of research can be considered an end in itself or serve as the beginning of further research. Ayun nga na-mention ni Dean kanina na if you are confused or meron pang kulang sa research, that's the time na you can decide to begin a further research. And then we have descriptive research. So this research answers questions that are largely factual in nature. This answers questions like how, what, where, when, and how often. And then this typically utilizes descriptive statistics as the statistical method for analysis. Example, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, variance, and range. So some of the common methods include surveys, interviews, observations, case studies. And then we have correlational research. This is a research where it investigates between variables without the researcher controlling or manipulating any of them. So this relationship may be correlational in statistical sense, which means that when one variable varies, another varies too. Let's say, for example, if there are multiple pizza trucks in the area and each one has a different jingle, we would memorize it all and relate that jingle to its pizza truck. So let's say for example, yung mga nakaka-last song syndrome na mga jingle, Manong Sorbiteros or yung mga Yakult, definitely you will remember the brand because of the jingle na ginagamit nila. And then we have our causal or experimental research. This is a research where it uses test hypothesis and is designed to explain why something happened. It is a study that strictly adheres to a scientific research design. Includes hypothesis, a variable that can be manipulated by the research, and variables that can be measured, calculated, and compared. So most importantly, experimental research is completed in a controlled environment. And then there are variations of experimental research, which is the one I mentioned earlier, the quasi-experimental for the semi and or partial experiment. Now, another topic I was assigned is the internet-mediated research. So for learning objectives of this topic, we were we are going to be able to identify the advantages and disadvantages of mediated research, assess and evaluate different types of internet mediated research, understand and analyze the role of internet mediated research. So now let us define what is internet mediated research. So according to British Psychological Society, it is a research involving the remote acquisition of data from or about human participants using the internet and its associated technologies. Usually, we can collect data through reactive approach and reactive. So reactive approach, ito yung mga online surveys, online interviews, or mga online experimental tasks. For the non-reactive, so researcher makes use of data that is collected unobtrusively or data mining. So another definition, or according to Association of Internet Researchers Ethic Working Committee, they define IMR or internet mediated research as this is the utilizes the internet to collect data or information through online surveys. um, it studies on how people use and access the internet through collecting and observing data of participants, utilizes, engages in data processing, analysis, or storage of data sets or data banks, examines the design or structures of systems, interfaces, pages, and elements. And it has three common types, which are the survey, online or online questionnaire, interviews or focus groups, virtual, and or online ethnography. So let us start by defining online survey. So it is a structured questionnaire that your target audience complete over the internet, generally by filling out a form. And here are some design tips for online questionnaire: allocation of adequate time, inclusion of a welcome screen with the background information, including the purpose of the research, clear and precise. It should be clear and precise instruction, use of plain, in easy to understand language, and avoidance of technical terms, jargon, or acronyms. This is very important para sa mga participants sa online questionnaire natin. And then we have care with questions to avoid duplicate or unnecessary questions, use of a variety of questions types or appropriate to the research. Also, use of simple questionnaire format and avoidance of unnecessary graphics. Um, keep the questionnaire length and time as short as possible to get the information you require, but 15 minutes maximum is recommended. And then we have to reduce dropouts, we need to include social presence or missing data message to reduce item response. So basically, para hindi ma-skip, we need to put parang error or line na this is required. And then place add comments with a thank you for assistance. So basically, we need to be appreciative sa mga participants na tumulong during the research. And then we have to ensure consistency or appearance and accessibility of online questionnaire with different browsers and computers. Send one or two or follow-up reminders if hindi pa tapos yung sinend mong questionnaire to the participant. And then we have interviews, focus groups. This is a research that is a data collection method that allows the researcher to host a discussion among a number of respondents via online platform. So it has two types, the synchronous methods and synchronous methods. So we have asynchronous methods. This typically uses email and involve a longer time scale. Conversant, which is the interviewer and interviewee relationship, sending exchanges back and forth as when it is convenient. And then we have synchronous methods. Typically, this is a chat technology approach and have been less well used in this current times. Then we have virtual ethnographies, also known as cyber ethnography or online ethnography and digital ethnography. This is an ethnographic method for the study of communities and cultures formed by computer mediated social interaction. Kasi basically yung ethnography researcher before, they will visit the site, like pupunta sila doon and they will stay. Yun yung mga traditional research na ginagawa nila. Well, for the virtual ethnographies, they will conduct it through online, and then mostly interviews lang talaga sa communities. And then for IMR, it has advantages and disadvantages. So first advantage is, of course, it is ready access to a vast and diverse population of potential research participants. Its ability to enhance both the time and cost efficiency of a piece of research. Also, it emerged from the nature of the online communication medium itself. And then for disadvantages, of course, validity and reliability, lack of extra linguistic cues which are normally available in face-to-face settings, like facial expressions or some mga traditional research kasi we can see them. And then we have includes difficulty in establishing good levels of rapport with participants and possible ambiguities and a lack of that. And then for ethics, hello.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Ay, sorry. I thought na nakat out ako. So basically, for ethics of internet-mediated research, there are certain greater parang drawbacks para dito, which are the confidentiality, privacy, informed consent. For confidentiality, the researcher must decide whether to conceal the identities of the participants prior to begin the online project. So no disguise, light disguise, or complete disguise. So he or the researcher needs to get the consent from the participant if they wanted na mag-disguise or mag or no disguise at all. And then we have the privacy. The legality of various sources of data obtained via the internet is not always clear because sometimes the poster may not be the one who they say they are. For example, right now, minors can use phones. Kahit mga kids, they can use it. So use it or someone else is using the account. Changes to the data set over time, changes to the privacy settings on the site, removal of data. And then limits to the anonymization data, especially qualitative data, and the ease with which data could be traced back to individuals or outline or online communities. And then lastly, we have the informed consent, which is the participant must be fully aware of the purpose of the research, written information about the project goals, rules of participants, and potential risks should be provided either via email, a dedicated website or bulletin board, or maybe a traditional mail to the participants. Now, in conclusion, basically sa first part ko, knowing the fundamentals of the different types of classifications, whether for its purpose, method, or approach, allows researchers to choose the optimal study design for their investigation. And of course, the use of IMR, when doing research, the use of IMR, researcher must evaluate and comprehend ethical concepts and be cautious and avoid causing harm to anyone. So thank you, and I hope you learned something. And thank you for your attention.
Okay, so thank you very much, madam. No, so it is very important, no, for us to understand on how we'll be able to deal with internet research mediated, no, because as of now, no, especially during this time of pandemic, we really want, no, to utilize, no, the internet, no, in searching our related literature and even our theoretical and conceptual framework. So it is a good thing that we have a discussions on how we will be able to use the internet research related, intermediate related. Okay, thank you.